Hello, welcome back. So, the art of structural design is truly understood in the selection of the most suitable structural system for a given structure. In this, the arrangement of beams or girders or any joint or the truss and the column to support the vertical load, and for the horizontal load, the selection of a suitable bracing system. It really poses a great challenge to the structural engineer. And why? Because they will determine the economy and functional suitability of the building. But this selection of suitable structural system is made mainly based on the previous data or experience. So based on the way structures resist loads, we will discuss them in the next slide, and after that we will see some steel intensive and composite structures. So in the structural system, we will first discuss the general types of structures based on the way they resist the load. So first and the simplest type of structure are gravity masonry structures. These structures basically consists the load bearing wall system, and their stability mainly depends on the amount of gravity load. They are not very much suitable in resisting the earthquake load, and therefore they are suitable up to 2 or 3 floors only. The other types of structures comes under the category is the frame structures. So these frame structures consist of steel or concrete skeleton which is designed to resist the load applied to them from the plate element. So the plate elements are slab which transfer the load to the frame, and frame transfer the load to the foundation and subsequently to the soil. So there you can see uh, in case of, so this is basically a frame of concrete structures. So in this frame, it consists the vertical member which is column, the horizontal member which is the beam, and in the red portion these are basically the slabs. So slabs are basically act as a diaphragm system to resist the lateral load which is basically the horizontal load. And there you can see this is a wall type system. So this wall is basically the shear wall. So similarly, in case of steel construction, these vertical members are the column, these horizontal members are basically the beams, and for the plate element, they are composed of concrete slabs. They are basically embedded on the beams. Basically, they are supported on the beams. Coming to the next type of structure, which is called shell structures. So these shell structures are basically the three-dimensional spatial structures that are constructed from one or more curved slabs or folded plates. I will display the curved slab in the next slide. And now talking about the thickness of the folded plates are very small as compared to the other dimensions. So there you can see there is a structure made up of folded plate. So there you can see the thickness of the folded plate is very less as compared to the other dimensions of this system. So folded plate is basically a type of shell structure. The important feature of shell structure is basically that their three-dimensional load carrying mechanism, and which is basically governed by various factors such as the nature of applied load. So there is in the second figure you can see these are basically the plates which are being folded. So basically this is a single plate. It is being folded into the desirable shapes, and if the load is coming on this joint, so this load is basically transferred along this flat portion, this Folded plate is also known as flat plate, which is basically folded into any desirable shape. So what happens is when the load is coming on the joint or the ridge, it basically transferred through this flat system, and this further transferred to the support system. So this is basically the load carrying mechanism, which is very familiar to the traditional conventional load carrying mechanism of any structure. So these folded plates are, as I told you earlier, these are made of thin flat slab, and these slabs are joined along their edges. These are basically the edges to construct the three-dimensional structures. So these folded plate structures are very useful and economically viable. And as a matter of the fact, if I tell you, these folded plates can span, they can span up to 30 meters without any column and with a minimal thickness of 60 mm. So therefore, you can see it is very economically viable, and it can support load for a longer span. So therefore, but because of the advantage, still there are some difficulty with the folded plate, and that difficulty is basically the shuttering, and it also requires the extensive labor work. So that is why the designer hesitate to use this structural system. But nowadays it is being adopted in many structures. Then the another type of shell structure is they can be curved, they can be in the curved form. As in the previous slide I told you that shell structure can be in the curved form. So these curved form can be the vault. There you can see the structure which is made up of concrete. This structure is known as concrete barrel vaults. Similarly, if it is constructed using steel, then it will be steel braced wall. So they are made using steel as well as concrete. So in case of concrete shell, they are very thin cylindrical elements. So and furthermore, these barrel vaults are assumed to be very efficient due to the use of arch form. So this you can see, this is the arch form of this barrel, and this arch form basically resists the compressive stress, and that is why the thickness of vault is decreased in the transverse direction. So this is basically the transverse direction. So this is transverse direction, and this one is the longitudinal direction. So along the transverse direction, you can see the thickness of the vault is less, but along the longitudinal direction, the thickness in the middle will be larger. So I will erase the meeting. So now you can see the thickness in the middle is larger while the thickness at the edge is lower. So as a matter of fact, these vaults can span up to 45 meters. So that is why barrel vaults are the most useful shell structures. Another type of shell structures can be dome. Well, in the case of concrete structures, we call them shell structures. But if we use steel members, they may also be called as space frame. So based on the material that they can be distinguished as shell and space structures. So talking about the domes, they are the structures that cover a more or less square or circular area. So these domes are basically the hemisphere in shape and used as a roof structure. So the photo that you see, this photo is of geodesic dome that I, along with some students, constructed in Gateway College. Domes can be constructed using the folded plate elements also. So there you can see these are the domes, special domes which are constructed using the folded plate elements. So these domes may be constructed with small angle between the plates or with large angle between the plates, and there you can, I'm talking about these angle systems. So this angle between the plate can be less or large. So based on the angle system, the structural action will be different for each system. Then talking about the steel space structures, grid layer system is an important system and it is used to cover large column free area. These grids are subjected to loads at their joints or along the length of member. So I'm talking about this. So like this is also known as space frame, which is used to cover area, and these loads basically are subjected on these joints, or we can say that along the member. So if this is a member, so load may be along this direction or along the another direction. So basically we can say that loads is subjected either on the joint, or in other word we can say that the load is subjected along the length of the member. So this is how it can be said. So these structures can take various forms, such as flat double layer grid, as I'm showing you, flat double layer grid or flat multi-layer grid. There, the second diagram you can see, or it can be braced barrel that you can see, or it can be of any free shape. So sometimes they are also considered as three-dimensional truss also. So double layer grid, as I'm talking about this grid can be used up to a span of 300 feet. And if we want to use this grid for more than 300 feet, then what we have to do, what will happen is this depth will increase, and resulting these members, all those members which are experiencing compression force, they will their length will increase, so the depth will increase. So to overcome with this problem, the another concept which is being developed was the multi-layer grid. So there you can see one layer is this one and the second layer is this one, so that is why it is called double layer grid. So to overcome this problem of having larger span, in the second diagram, this you can see multi-layer, it is basically a triple layer. So two layers are there, this one, the third layer is induced between them. So this third layer, what it will do is it will decrease this span, which may result in this case to be very higher if we adopt more than 300 feet. So this thickness will be lesser if we use this frame for more than 300 feet span. So such kind of arrangement can be very beneficial. It can be very useful if we want to adopt such kind of structure, column free. Then coming to the another type of structure, which is called tension structures. So in tension structures, we use tension members, and tension members are basically the members which are used to carry tension force. And steel cable are the typical example of tension member which is used to carry tensile force. Then talking about the tensegrity structure, this tensegrity structure are basically the classic example of tension structure. And tensegrity structures they are also known as floating compression structure. So floating compression structure, basically they are called like that because in tensegrity structure, if I show you this model, so these are basically the struts. So you can see the black bars, these are black or gray bars or white bars. They are basically the struts which are basically carrying the compression force, but along with them they are stitched with a cable, or here I will say a string, a yellow string, which is basically carrying the tensile force. So the tensegrity structure, they are basically composed of two members. One is the tensile member, which may be a cable or any string, and the struts or posts which will carry the compression force. So basic form of this structure is carried by the tensile cable. The example here you can see this bridge is basically supported using the tensegrity structure. So in these tensegrity structures, these members are basically the carrying the compression force, and this cable arrangement along with them is basically delineating the shape of this structure. So the whole shape that you see, it is because of the delineation of the cable, and because of this shape, it is able to carry this the load of this bridge. So such tensegrity structures are not much developed till now, but they are the new technology which can be utilized, and in some places some structures are being constructed using them. And the concept of if I talk about the concept of these tensegrity structures, the member which are being used in tensegrity structures, they may be either in compression or in tension. So the benefit of providing these two members is that, like this rod will carry compression only. So it will fail only when it will achieve the maximum strength. So after that it will collapse. So what is basically the concept behind it is, it will utilize the maximum property of this material. Similarly, in case of cable will fail only when the tensile force exceeds the strength of the cable. So the benefit of this is that the material is utilized to its full strength, while in some other cases the material may not be utilized to its full strength, like in the conventional structures. Similarly, we have some other structures which are cable supported, basically the tensile structure. So in the first diagram you can see there is a cable supported roof. Then in the second diagram you can see cable supported roof of a stadium, and then in the third diagram you can see that there is a cable which is supporting the deck of this bridge where the traffic is running. So the common factor in all the images is that cables are used to carry tensions generated due to the load on the structure. Now coming to the next type of structure, which is called pneumatic structures. Such structures consists of a membrane sealed to the ground. So in the pneumatic structures, basically the action of membrane comes into the play. So, and this membrane action is basically supported by the internal air pressure. So when a membrane is subjected to an air pressure, it has a certain curvature, and this air pressure causes a membrane a stress that is proportional to its curvature. So here I will show, if this is a membrane structure, and if there is internal pressure, in this diagram you can see if there is internal pressure, so the curvature of this membrane, this curvature is directly proportional to the internal pressure. And if I have to find out the tensile force, so this tension is basically because of the stress generated in the membrane. So this tension force is again depending on the shape of the membrane. So the shape of membrane can be cylindrical, it can be spherical, or it can be any irregular shape. So if I say in case of a cylindrical shape, say for example, I'm making a cylindrical shape. So this is the ridge line of the cylinder, and this is the radius of curvature. So if I say so, so in that, if I have to find out the tension, and if internal air pressure is induced in that, then the T will be calculated using the formula T is equals to P into R. Now T is basically the tension force here, and P is basically the internal pressure, and R is the radius of curvature. So this pressure which is because of the air pressure, it will cause a tensile stress a stress on the surface of this this membrane, and this stress will be distributed like this. Why? Because as I told you, there is a concept that internal pressure is directly proportional to the curvature of the membrane. So basically, in case of cylinder, there are two directions. One direction is this one, and the another direction is this one. So along this direction, which is a guideline of the cylinder, along this direction there is no curvature. Along this direction there is no curvature, but along this direction there is a continuous curvature. So that is why the whole pressure will be distributed along this direction only, and that pressure, the tensile force which generated due to this can be given by this formula. Similarly, if I talk about the spherical form, if we call the spherical form, in the spherical form we see curvature in all direction, whether this direction or this direction. So orthogonally the curvature is along the all direction. So if in such membrane, if we induce the air pressure and if we try to find out the tensile force, then the tensile force will be P into R by 2. So you can see the tensile force becomes half. Why? Because in case of cylinder, only along the transverse direction or only along one direction the tensile force was distributing, but in case of circular or spherical membrane, the pressure or the tensile force is distributing along the both direction orthogonally, and that is why the amount of this tensile force becomes half. So this is a basic concept which is being used while designing the pneumatic structures, and pneumatic structures are also used nowadays. I don't know the name of this stadium, but this is one of the indoor stadium which is located in UK, and this is constructed using the concept of membrane structures. So membrane can be of any shape. The basic concept is curvature is directly proportional to the internal air pressure, and based on this concept the membrane is designed. So till now we have seen some different types of structures and their structural systems. Now we will see some steel intensive structures, as we are going to study steel structures in this course. So steel structures may be single bay or multi bay. So there you can see this is single bay. So this one is called one bay, and this one is called one story. So this is single bay and single story system. Similarly here this is multi bay but single story system. Bays can be pitched, can be having pitched roof. Now pitched roof means the roof which makes an angle with the horizontal. Similarly there can be a flat roof like this, flat roof like this. Multi bay, here I have provided some other examples also. So steel structures may be single bay or multi bay structures. The roof may be pitched or flat. So these type of structures are basically used for industrial buildings, commercial buildings, schools, and some residential building also. Then there are multi-story buildings. They may be single or multi-bay structures or braced or rigid frame construction. So there you can see this is basically a single bay multi-story building. This one is single bay multi-story building. So these are basically the story. These are the story. In this case, you can see this is multi-story multi-bay system. This is also multi-story multi-bay system. So they are also named as braced frame, because in this building a bracing is used, while in case of rigid frame there is no bracing. There is no bracing used in this case. So these two buildings are categorized as braced frame and rigid frame. We will discuss more about them in detail, the difference between braced frame structures and rigid frame structures in the later slides. But they are basically multi-story, multi-bay frames. Then there are tall buildings. They may be more than 20 story, and they are generally considered in large cities where the land costs are very high. So in the design of such structures, the structural designers generally pay attention to the system which resists the lateral load. So in case of high-rise construction, as the height of building increases, the other factors comes into the play, and those factors are the lateral load. Now lateral load are basically the horizontal load. In case of vertical building, these lateral load can be horizontal load. So these horizontal load can be wind load, can be earthquake load. Okay, so as the building height increases, the effect of earthquake load and wind load is to be considered. So in the next part, we will discuss the types of connections and their applications in the steel building. Thank you.